Good evening, everyone. Today we are going to have a very different subject. You must have read it: whistling, taboo, art, or science. It's a very different type of subject, and it is going to be presented by Mr. Rigveda Deshpandey. He is a he himself is a sound engineer. He teaches sound recording and techniques, and also, are you president or the chairman of the Indian Whistling? He is a founder and president of Indian Whistling Association, and he has just performed in Japan and he has won an award. So I will not take your more time, but I will invite Mr. Rigveda Deshpandey to present his taboo, art, or science whistling.
So, before I talk about what this all is about, let me give you a demonstration. So, we'll have a small performance. Joining me is Sanket on octopad, Ketan on keyboard, Abhishek on guitar, and Amrut on whistling along with me. present one more song. This is a little different because we have done a lot of experimentation. Whistling के साथ आज तक ये experimentation hardly किसी ने किया है. So one more, especially
Just two lines.
medley is आपके जमाने का गाना है.
Yeah.
With a twist actually.
Okay.
Ready? Thank you, people. We start with the presentation. So, my name is Rigveda. I'm a sound engineer by profession. I'm also the founder and president of Indian Whistlers Association. Now, there's a very interesting story to this. This is 2017. Back in 2003, when I was a student of Lucknow Christian College. And I was a student of Lucknow Christian College, and it was a statistics department fresher party. So my seniors told me कि कुछ talent दिखाओ. So I know just one thing, how to whistle. I started whistling when I was 6. Everyone like us, our fathers whistle at home. So we started looking up to our fathers. And I couldn't really do anything else. मम्मी ने तबला सिखाया कोशिश की. मम्मी ने force किया. 10th तक सीखा फिर छोड़ दिया. I was a student of Bhatkande Vidya Mandir. And that was a time when I did not have interest in music at all. When I went to Lucknow Christian College and the senior said कि perform something. Guitarist तो मिल जाते हैं. So the medley that you heard, Sholay and Dil Ko Tumse Pyar Hua, this was first time performed 13 years ago, 14 years ago rather, when I was in college. अभी उसमें twist जोड़ के थोड़ा सा modernized करके heavy metal कर दिया है. But that was a time when I was just first year, guitarist and मैं. And हमारे college के principal and जो dean थे, he liked it very much and वो भी आए देखने के लिए. फिर whenever I was there for 2 years and जो college festivals हुए, I was whistling. But whistling alone never gave me I'll tell you, happiness. In India, every second, third, fourth person is a whistler. Bhaji wala sa auto wala can whistle casually. So why can't we promote this? Why can't we take it to the people? This is an instrument which doesn't require to be carried something. It requires a sense of music. So while I was in college, I was like, I need to find more whistlers. So back in 2004, when there was only Yahoo Personals, there was no Facebook, no Orkut, I searched for whistling as a keyword and found a couple of people. They were in Pune, Delhi, I was in Lucknow. Then we met. I came down to Pune in 2004 for my sister's wedding. And so on and so forth, we started gathering. But still we were limited to phones and internet only. 2005, I was studying in SP College, Pune. And a gentleman from Chennai, he called me up and said, ki, you guys are doing this only online on the phone. Let's do something about it. Let's have a program. And that's when we had our first Indian Whistlers Association ka first concert in Chennai, 18 June 2006. Since then, because of a lot of media, publicity, and the hype, because this is something which everyone does, but not everyone can do. So you can say, well, everybody can whistle, but not everyone can whistle well. So this is my, you can say, passion has been for so long to promote whistling as an art form, as a serious art form. So let's have a look, what is Indian Whistlers Association, what are our accolades, and then we'll delve into the details of whistling. So our today's topic is taboo, art or science. Next, please. So you can say IWA is the world's first truly Indian whistling community. We are India's first and only whistling association. And last year, I have started a dedicated whistling school to teach people how to whistle, where the sound is produced, and how to perform from a bathroom to an international platform. That's what I teach. It's a 6-month syllabus, like our syllabus, it's formally noted down. Our key objectives are to find and meet whistlers, to formalize whistling as a performing art, to break the taboos, and to provide the necessary training and know-how to attain international standards. Now, back in 2003, when I was whistling and I wanted to find people, there was only one Yahoo group called Aura Whistle, which consisted of all of foreigners. And the kind of experience they had and there were things they're discussing, it was a bouncer initially. I used to record my whistling in cheap software and then add some echo. That time there was echo effects. We didn't know it was reverb. Echo dalke, I used to share with them. And that's how I became a sound engineer. My interest towards sound engineering came handy. When I finished my BSc Computer Science in SP College, the only favorite topics were analog electronics and maths and science, because software coding was never my cup of tea. And this how my entire focus went towards, you can say, sound engineering. Until recently, I was a lecturer at Sound Artists Academy, full-time. Now I've quit my job and I'm doing this for next 6 months full-time. No pay, but it's a passion. Why? I'll come to that. So we have almost 500 online members, male and female, age group of 10 to 75. And our whistlers are capable of whistling everything from ghazals, film songs, classical, Carnatic, Western, you name it. Next, please. So started on 19 September 2004, and now we even provide training through video conferencing to people sitting outside Mumbai. We entered the Limca Book of Records in 2009 with 48 whistlers whistling together. Can you have the video, please? So that was the Limca Book of Record in 2009. Actually, it was done in 2008, but published in the book in 2009. And the person who invited me to Chennai and said, Ki, I'll do all the expenses, you come and perform, was Mr. Jagat Tarkas. He is my mentor. And he was the one who took the association from a phone and online thing to actually a present on stage thing. We have had almost 300 shows all over India we have done in last almost 13 years. This September we'll be completing 13 years. And we have a whistling workshop right from Mood Indigo to Bal Bhavan. We have done whistling workshops. One notable performance I would like to tell you about. Last year, there is this, everybody has this Bal Bhavan kind of institute, government institute. So last year, Bal Bhavan of Patna had invited us. And they said they wanted to include whistling in their summer camp syllabus. So my colleague from the association, we went to Patna. We stayed there for 5 days. And my aim was to train the children from a cooker level, I say cooker or tea kettle, where they go from the basic level to stage level in 5 days. So my aim was to take children, mostly 10 to 12 years, up to 14 years, and train them in 5 days. So we were teaching from morning 10 o'clock to until 6 o'clock with just 1 hour break. 5 days we were like training, working with them. And this is a performance which they give and the last day on stage independently. Can I have the video, please? Final performance.
तो शुरू करें हम क्या? पक्का? ठीक है.
5 days में सीटी बजाना is not easy. Right from a cooker level to a stage level. We had to actually split the students into two groups, Group A and Group B. So I was training Group A and my colleague was training Group B. Mostly Group B children were all tone deaf. सुर समझता नहीं है. तो बस कुकर की तरह. But they are children. We cannot let them down. We cannot discourage them. So our aim was to जितना कर सके उनसे 5 दिन में करवाना. But this was the final performance by Group A कि वो actual they could perform on stage within 5 days. The people on the left were actually 2 teachers, singing teachers. उनको भी whistling आते थे तो उनको भी सिखाया. The person playing the guitar also was a music teacher. उसको भी सिखाया. And that's how we had the entire group. One of our notable performances has been at Kala Ghoda Festival in 2009 and 10. Back to back, we were invited 2 years. And this is one of our very iconic performances. Entire ground was full. So that was Kala Ghoda 2009 and 10. Since last 45 years, there is an international competition called International Whistling Convention happening in US. It was being conducted in North Carolina, Lewisburg, by a gentleman called Alan D. Hart. He passed away last year, almost 94. Now, the International Whistling Convention is one place where whistlers from all over the world unite, and there are actually competitions where they can perform. There are like 4 categories. There's a popular category, you can perform any kind of song, but with a backing track, minus track. Then there's a classical category where you have to perform only Western classical. Then there is a category called Allied Arts where you can do a dance or a skit and whistle along. So we 4 from our association represented India in.
I know Nikhil Rane very well. Stays in Girgaon.
Huh?
Stays in Girgaon.
Yes.
Yes.
He is one of our students. So we had gone to Japan last year and he went the first
But he
time.
has worked with me.
This is one video of 2010 of China. Now whistling doesn't have any language. There's no language barrier. What we have shown through our skit is a normal story. You should see the response, and we got 3rd prize because the Koreans and Japanese and Chinese understood what we wanted to say. So can you have the video, please? This is our first prize at the international platform. So that was a skit and a performance and a third prize. IWC, International Whistling Convention, doesn't happen anymore because it used to happen in a town called Lewisburg, as I said, North Carolina. And the Arts Council used to do it, and they don't have the budget anymore. Mr. Alan D. Hart also died recently. So different countries started taking it up. So 2010, China did it. But since the name is copyrighted, Japan couldn't do it. So Japan used the word World Whistling Convention, and they did it last year. In 2010, China, we were 4 people. This time we were 8. And this time we brought in 3 first prizes. So we have one performance by Sweta Suresh, she from Chennai. She is a very popular whistler in Tamil films these days. And she has done Bharatanatyam dance and whistling. And she won the first prize.
Our final performer of the evening, entry 11, is Sweta Suresh. She will be performing Misala Pulva by A.R. Rahman. It's a classical dance.
Actually, we brought in 4 prizes. My mentor, Mr. Jagat Tarkas, he won in the senior citizen category. He's 65 now, and there was a separate category for senior citizens. So he won the first prize in the senior citizen category. The next is another prize, Mr. Nikhil Rane, as he said. He is from Mumbai. He is a teeth whistler. What is teeth whistling? I'll come to that when I explain the whistling styles.
First, we have number 61, Nikhil Kamakar Rani. He will perform Hamla Hamla by A.R. Rahman.
Hi, this is Nikhil Rani. Good afternoon, everyone. Doing Hickey Fuki style, I'm going to whistle, and accordingly I'm going to play a rhythm side on this djembe. It's an African instrument. This is a kahan box. It is a Latin American instrument, and the ghungroos in my legs, on my legs. So it is an Indian instrument. It's an Indian percussion. So here I go.
I was shooting a documentary. I was dancing, I was whistling, I was performing. We had a skit. For the first time in the world, I attempted something very different. I attempted salsa, dance, and whistling. So I had a female partner. What you see, was not last year. Last year, I had done a lot of workout and gymming and all. I had reduced my weight, I had boosted up my stamina. And I did salsa, dance, and whistling. So in salsa dance, you have a female partner. You have to listen to the music, count the beats, dance to the beats. It's like 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 4, 4. You have to lead the lady because she doesn't know what you have to do. So you have to tell her, you have to not tell her, rather lead her. And you have to remember the song also. So this is the first time I attempted salsa, dance, and whistling. So something different, I would say.
We will now see entry 54, Rigveda Deshpandey and Farzana Naktawala performing a salsa dance to Enrique Iglesias' Bailando.
I am trying something new on whistling, never attempted in the world before. It's going to be salsa dance and whistling. So enjoy. So you can see a lot of stamina is required to dance, to memorize, think. Now I cannot do that, not this year. I've put on a lot of weight. Next slide, please. We have also been featured in a couple of music videos and ads. Now, due to, you can say, like in the movie Three Idiots, he says, excellence, aim for excellence and not for success. When I teach my students, I always tell them, aim for excellence. Such opportunities come on their own. And because you can say, I have an association more than 200 people these days, whenever people require any whistlers, they contact us for whistling. So here's a television ad which we did about a couple of years ago. And as per requirement, they tell us what kind of whistling they want. If they say we want very polished, clean whistling, we do that also. If they say nahi, amateurish chahiye, lagna chahiye ki koi aam aadmi baja raha hai, we do that also. Recently, I was invited to whistle for a TV serial called Lord Ke Aaya Hai. It's a series which comes on Star Plus on Saturday, Sundays, and I had gone there for a recording. Now, everyone here is an engineer. So normally we have a recording booth and a control room. But that particular studio, the music director did not have any studios empty. So in his own cabin, we had a recording. It is acoustically treated, but he had a keyboard, a screen, and a mic placed there. Now what happened was, every time I wanted to record something, he has to turn off the AC. As soon as now, please understand that in whistling, the person is the instrument. What detuning and everything that affects an instrument affects us also. Before performing here, I had little food. Now, food helps me because, first of all, water in this weather, hot weather, it is very viscous. It goes down. It is very, you can say, flowy. It goes into the stomach. Water cannot help you overcome dryness. The only thing which can help overcome dryness is your saliva, which is very viscous. And the only way to bring out saliva is to eat something. So normally before performing, I eat a sandwich. Also, by performing, what I've experienced in all these years is, when the stomach is full, it pushes the diaphragm up, gives support to my lungs, helps me reach even lower notes. If I don't eat and I'm empty stomach, I cannot reach low and high notes. So it's a very, we can say, experimental thing which I've realized over the years. Some people find that chocolate helps them. Some people find honey helps them. I have found food helps me because it's a different anatomy. Everyone is different. So different food items affect different people. Now, what happening was, every time I want to record there, he was turning off the AC. It was getting hot. Then he was turning the AC back on. I was cooling down. Then on and off, which happens to a guitar or any instrument, was happening to me. So what should have taken actually an hour for recording took me 6 hours. And I had gone from in the evening, it was election day, so after morning lectures, I had gone to the studio. After 3 hours of lectures, it was very tiring. So when I went there to perform, I was very, very tired. Plus, especially when you have to do ad-libs, there's no backing instrument, just a chord where you have to whistle, very difficult. Then I told the guy, look, I'm very tired today, I'll come back tomorrow. So next day morning, freshly in the morning, 9 o'clock I went. And then when I recorded, I was done in 1 hour. There's a sea change because I was fresh, eaten, not tired anymore. And then in 1 hour, I could do the entire song. Plus what happens is, because it was a recording, the music director was very, very strict. He doesn't want vibrato. He wants straight notes, perfect notes. Now we have autotune and melodyne, but my aim is like I should be able to hit the note. So even for one note, I was like, no, I'll do once more. And because I'm an engineer, I can tell him like, nahi, thoda fold back zyada chahiye. Wait, I'll give you one more. Don't fix it. Don't melodyne, don't autotune it. I'll do it once more. So what I realized was that the more you do, the more you get tired. The more AC on off, you get tired. So I keep telling my students also that these are the factors which you should know going into studio beforehand. Because anytime I can get a call from a studio. Yesterday I got a call to perform in a reality show. Coming week. They said, we'll let you know, we have requirement. I said, okay. Now, when I'm choosing my people, these are the speakers which I've bought, the equipment, so that I can give professional training to my students, whistling students, and get them acquainted with such equipment. So that when the opportunity comes to perform on stage or in studio, they are prepared. I also involve musical students. These 3 students are from Sound Ideas Academy. So I also involve them so that they can accompany me while performing, and they can also learn on hands-on how to set up the equipment and how to balance and everything. Now this ad required a real common man kind of sound. So let's have a look. Did you notice the soldier was a Pakistani army soldier? And this we couldn't announce for at least 2-3 years कि हमने किया है because of the controversial subject. But now we can say कि yes, we have done it. Next one, please. This was a music video for Sare Gama Tani, 2013. Okay, so our imminent goal, this year, November, we are attempting a Guinness World Record of 1,000 whistlers. Loudest whistling by a group. Now we all know that 120 dB SPL is what our ears start hurting, and 130 dB SPL is where our eardrum gets damaged. We are attempting 127 dB SPL. So we have our Mr. Milind Rao Rane. He is helping us measure the equipment because Guinness requires an independent expert. And for that, we have chosen an auditorium because such a whistling, when you do in this kind of place, it will create a lot of flutter and cancellation. So I cannot use this kind of auditorium. I cannot even use a ground because all the air will dissipate in 360 degree. So for that purpose and for the accommodating 1,000 people, we have actually booked a Shanmukhanand auditorium. Now the best part about it is acoustic treated. So and the meter has to be 1.5 meters above the ground and 2.5 meters away from the nearest whistler. So there I have an advantage that I can keep all my whistlers in a circle with the meter in the middle, and our gallery is there, second floor. So people can be there also. So entire hemisphere is covered by sound. So that will actually help us reach 127 dB. Yeah.
Do you have any special kind of acoustical treatment for whistling?
Sorry, come again?
Do you prefer to have any different kind of acoustical treatment or taking whistling class? Have you ever thought about it?
Actually, acoustic treatment is required, definitely required.
That I understand. Only for whistling point of view. Singing is different, musical instrument is different. So have you ever thought about the whistling point of view?
From whistling point of view, I have noticed that a place which has a natural reverb, a hall kind of a place or a corridor, which allows the sound to spread evenly and longer distance, providing natural reverb is more suited. Now, bathroom is one place which I found is very suited for whistling, but it has a problem also. So you can say bathroom is the best place for whistling and the worst place also. Best place because the short reverbs, the short delays gives you a very nice feel. But the worst place is because there is cancellation and it gives a very rosy picture of what actually happens. But for normal whistling, what I found is a long hall or a long corridor is the best suited for whistling. As far as acoustic treatment is concerned, I would normally not require lots of treatment, But flutter echoes and cancellations, I try to avoid them. Now, we practice in Ville Parle East, and one of the halls is on Hanuman Road is Hedgewar Hall, Hedgewar Maidan. It's a BMC hall. And there they have yoga and we have whistling practices on Sunday. Now what I found is up to a certain height, they have tiles on the walls. So it's highly reverberant. But when I'm using my speakers, it gives me a lot of feedback problem. So then what I need to do is I need to have those yoga mats and those gymnastic mats. Those I have to put on the walls around me to kind of minimize the reflections. So reflections are a good thing, but when you're using amplified sound, they are a very bad thing.
Yes, they will be obvious. They will be obviously, yes, very bad.
Yeah.
More the harder surface, more the reflection.
That's why it is only fine if you are whistling without any accompaniment. Plain whistling, tiled surface is good. Reflective surfaces, hall is good. But when you are having PA kind of system, it's a very bad idea then.
And damage the sound quality.
Yes, cancellations is the major problem, and feedback. It's so this year.
What is the frequency band of whistling approximately?
Now,
As an engineer, I am asking.
yeah. I'll come to that in the next part. I'll come to it. Because whistling has a frequency range of a piccolo. I have found the lowest someone can go is around 440 hertz. I'll come to that later. I'll explain how the sound is produced and why it is in that frequency range. So if you know people who are whistlers and if you are whistlers yourself, please ask them to join our world record. It is entries free mostly. If you want the Guinness certificate, you have to pay 1,000 rupees only. And this is what we want to do with the bang, because in India, every third, fourth person is whistler. But because of certain taboos and myths in India, the art is unable to flourish. Even though we have had whistling in Bollywood even since the black and white days. Since you are such a senior citizen, I'm going to ask you that question. Which is the first film in Hindi music to have whistling? Which year?
No, sir. Again 55 somewhere.
No, sir. This is even before that.
Before that?
Yeah.
54, 52.
Okay, you think about it. We'll come to that. So, if you know somebody who whistles, who loves whistling, please ask them to get in touch with us and join us for the world record. So, here's our today's topics. What is whistling and how does it work? Facts, common myths and taboos. We'll go into the anatomy of the mouth and the breathing system, how the sound produces. We'll go into the science of whistling, the various harmonics and various tonations of different styles, types of whistling, myth busting, and what are the challenges and tips. So can you have the whistling next slide, please? So, Chatur Ramlingam of 3 Idiots would say, whistling is audible frequency of sound created when aerodynamic energy is converted to acoustic energy by the oscillation and expansion of air from a resonant chamber created by articulate organs via small aperture. Anybody understood?
No.
This is what Chatur would say. What would Rancho say? Next slide, please. Once. What would Rancho say? Any guesses? We all seen the movie 3 Idiots. So what is whistling? Anybody?
Exhale.
We all exhale, we all breathe. Any guesses? No? Next. Producing the right sound from the right place. So, the art of whistling originated in the 3000 BC. Inhabitants of the Spanish Canary Islands speak a language called Silbo, which consists of whistling words, and because the mountainous area there's a difference of traveling, people couldn't travel, so they developed this art. Because high frequencies travel a longer distance, they are more concentrated, whistling was used as a language. Can you have the video, please?
Okay, and there are a lot of cultures around the world that communicate with whistling.
En turc, Koşköy signifie village des oiseaux, et ce langage et le chant des oiseaux de la vallée se confondent pour l'étranger. Voici une phrase parlée, puis sifflée plusieurs fois.
Cuma gün çarşıya gideceğim, mahkemem var.
A et O voyelles.
Kolay, kaplama, kapıcı, yapıcı.
Vers l'âge de 12 ans, lorsque leur denture est complète, les villageois sifflent en toutes circonstances dès que la distance les oblige à crier.
You will find this is not the style that we have used. This is a different style because it has more higher frequencies and gives more directional sound. The next is whistling is a compulsory subject in the Canary Islands. Can I have the video, please?
Located just off the northwest coast of mainland Africa, the Canary Islands' name derives from the Latin word for dogs, not birds. But in the hills of La Gomera, the breeze carries the sound of the most exotic calls. It's called El Silbo, from the Spanish silbar, to whistle. It's a complex language, unique to this island, and born centuries ago out of necessity.
And the reason's pretty simple. La Gomera is made up of these deep volcanic ravines, and in the days before phone service, getting a message across could take days if you had to walk. But if you whistle, it only takes seconds.
For years, there was no better way than this to warn of approaching pirates or do business with people in the next town. Eugenio Darius is an expert silbador.
Why not just yell?
If you yelled, you could reach about 500 meters on a good day, but the message wouldn't be very clear. A whistle can travel 3,000 meters and will arrive as clear as it left the whistler.
He's right. At this distance, a shout would be garbled at best. But our volunteer had no problem hearing the whistle clearly, and neither did we. In Silbo, words and phrases are formed by varying the pitch of the whistle. There is, as you might guess, a trick to learning the proper finger-in-mouth technique. That's pretty close. Okay, I'll practice.
Muy bien. Muy bien.
Joaquina Valeriano Navarro is, if you will, the mother of all whistlers. She's also good at names.
Okay, can you do Tracy?
Tracy.
But sometime in the last century, as phones got better, Silbo went from something everyone did to something only old folks did.
Is Silbo mejor?
Oh, even the Silbo master himself has a cell phone with a custom ringtone.
See?
The local government felt Silbo was in danger of fading away, so they took action. Silbo lessons are now required in all schools.
Buenos días.
The whistles mimic the sound of spoken Spanish. Listen to Buenos dias. A side note here, these girls were stronger whistlers than the boys. Much stronger. In any case, it seems to have caught on.
Okay, so one more question then.
Una preguntita
¿Por
más.
qué Silbo? Why? Why learn it at your
Porque es de nosotros, porque es de
Because it's our thing, she says. It belongs to us. And today, it sounds like El Silbo will survive because the cell phone generation is learning to tweet.
One thing I have found is whistling done by males and females cannot be distinguished. I'll play you some samples. I will ask you to tell me if which of them are male or female. The reason being that when you're so an instrument, you have a timbre, you have a texture. Now whistling consists of we can say a root note and certain harmonics. Now different styles have different harmonics, but if it's a male or a female, the root note and the harmonics are almost the same. So you cannot distinguish by listening to a tune and saying it's a male whistler or female whistler. A big size whistler with a tongue and with a thick lips can produce lower notes, but a thin person or a girl kind of person can produce a higher note. I've seen an American lady, very thin, almost 50. She can reach almost, you can say C7 on a piano. Yeah. C8 is the Guinness World Record for highest pitch of whistling. That is 4,000 hertz around. So the lady could reach around C7. But normally, even if some of our songs, 2 kilohertz, 2.5 kilohertz is normal. The lowest one person can go is around, I would say 400 to 440 hertz. But there's a certain problem. I have tried this and I have to experiment with other people also. If I'm hearing a 440 hertz tone, and if I try to whistle 440 hertz, if I cannot go that low, my brain automatically kind of doubles it. So what I think is whistling 440 is actually shown as 880.
That's right.
Yeah, the brain does it for you because it is not possible physically to go that low.
Yes, it's right.
Also I found for 1 kilohertz tone, some people can reach. 1 kilohertz is around 1047 hertz, that is your C6 note on the keyboard. Now C6 note, while whistling, I found some people, I'll show you some samples, some people are doing it at 2 kilohertz and the brain's telling them it's just 1 kilohertz. Oh. Actually the measurement is 2 kilohertz.
What kind of resonators in the body are important when you are whistling?
Yeah. I'll come to the next slide. I'll answer that question. So here's your question, sir. Which is the first film to feature whistling?
Maybe earlier, we don't know.
Okay. The film was Kismat 1943.
No.
Ashok Kumar.
Yeah, हम लोग किसका पैदा नहीं हुए। हमारे के पहले थे।
Now, this was a time when there was no playback. Now, this was the era where playback recording and music were not that advanced. So on the set, only musicians were there and the singers sang themselves. So that, using that factual information, we can say that this whistling was done by Ashok Kumar. Next one, please. Okay, so let's have the myths, what we have in India and different countries. So it says, someone says whistling is for frightening of demons and spirits. In India, they say if you whistle after dark, it attracts snakes. You all must have heard it. But snakes are deaf. They can sense the vibrations in the air, but they cannot hear. So all of our grandparents told us कि अरे सांप आता है, but नहीं आता है. Whistling is an ungentlemanly act, mostly because it is something similar to a pout or a kiss. So the lips position is the same. That's why that started, and it's a taboo for women. But as you see in our association, we have men and women equally, and even one of the world champions is a woman, so not a problem anymore. Whistling in theatre dressing room provokes failure. That's old British myth. And you have to go back, turn around, knock twice, thrice, and then come in. In Russia, it says whistling indoors brings financial difficulties. And whistling on a ship increases wind speed. Now, I have a friend who is a captain, so he says, no, this is a myth among them, but it is not true. So one of the major contributors of whistling is Professor Hakitimas. He is a professor of ENT. How whistling sound is produced is the sound comes out from the lungs. The lungs pump in the air. Then we have the larynx and our epiglottis, which then pushes the air into this mouth. Now, whistling needs a resonating chamber. Yes. The mouth can be the chamber, or the hand can be the chamber. Like we have our conch shell, white color shell. There we blow in, the sound resonates inside the shell and is amplified. So it needs a chamber. Now, in case of whistling, our mouth is the chamber, our lips, the aperture, controls the pitch of the sound. what I've experienced is when I'm whistling a low note, something like, my tongue is taken back and the hole is very big aperture. As I want to increase my notes, my tongue comes in slowly near the teeth, and every pitch it rises by millimeters. And my aperture goes smaller and smaller. So right from the aperture increases, it decreases, and the tongue position matters. So when we are whistling, now most of the whistlers don't know music. What we hear, we play. That's why music training and ear training is very important. But at the same time, those who are learned in music, those who are good at sight reading, you can say call them pitch perfect people, who can read the music notation and produce a note. Only they can read and produce a sound. Everyone else needs an accompanying instrument to actually get a root note. But because this is a learned habit, the more you listen, the more you learn. So when I teach people how to whistle, I start with how to produce. If people can produce a sound, I tell them, okay, food, water, this, that, and listen, and then do it. Those who cannot whistle at all, I've been experimenting with my mother at home. She cannot whistle at all. So I have to tell her, okay, keep the tongue behind your teeth, bottom teeth. Then purse your lips. Then blow, slowly. So every day in the morning at my house, when my mother's cooking, she's also trying to whistle.
So my question was, while singing, we use the maxillary and frontal sinuses as a kind of resonators.
Right.
So do you bring them into action when you are whistling because they are not effective that way?
See, the cavity here and the cavity here, the air which is produced actually resonates here and then it goes to the mouth. So both cavities play a vital role, especially if you have cold or if you have a bad throat, it affects the whistling. Why? Because bad throat is very irritant. If you have a blocked nose, the cavity is filled up with this thing, it cannot resonate. So having a cold actually affects whistling. So these cavities do play a vital role. Eustachian tube, it is very important for hearing balance, because if your ear is closed, you cannot hear what you are whistling. You can say a natural fallback system. So if I whistle with my ears closed, now for this world record of 127 dB, we plan to give everybody earplugs. Now what earplugs will do, it will bring down at least 20-30 dB, it will bring down and make it manageable. But they'll be still able to hear it. They will not be completely closed. If they are closed completely, they cannot whistle. So you can see this is the mouth. We have the tongue here. These are the teeth. And the tongue position and the teeth position actually reduces or increases the size of the chamber. And that's how the sound is produced. So bigger the chamber, lower the note. Higher the chamber, higher the note.
If you want to understand what whistling is, the first question is obviously, well, what is sound? Sound turns out to be pressure waves in the air. When you're whistling, the air rushes through, but then some of it, if you will, gets kind of curled up in here and forms these sort of vortices. And so these little ripples that occur is what sets up the vibrations, which is the whistle.
You're just setting like a tea kettle. Air coming out, the steam coming out, it hits that hole and then it sets up these vortices. The air wants to go around the side of the edge of that. The edge is very key. You want a clean edge on a clean whistle.
So we have these many styles of whistling. So the most common style is pucker style, or you can call it the pursed lip style, which is what we usually do. Most common style is this one. This is the pucker style of whistling. Then we have a roof, finger whistling, bottom lip, hand whistling, teeth whistling, and fingerless whistling. I come to them one by one. So you can see blowing air and whistling, it's almost the same anatomy inside the mouth, almost. Blowing out, then in pucker style, we have blowing out and blowing in. So some people can blow out. Some can blow out and blow in. You can blow out and blow in. So this way, it helps in maintaining the continuity of a song. The long notes, someone has to try, mostly alap. You can breathe in and breathe out, you can have the continuity. But otherwise, if you cannot do that method, then you have to suck in a lot of air, start slow, 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 and then that's the limitation. Can you have the video, please? Bird whistling.
I guess because I whistle like a bird, I'm under the category as a bird whistler. It makes me happy that they called me back. It's like I'm communicating with the birds. I don't really understand what they're saying. I mean, I didn't translate it yet, but I know what this means. I translated that in English. It means I don't want to die.
Then we have oodling, we have yodeling in singing. Similarly, we have something called oodling in whistling also. Chirping also is a kind of bird whistling.
Oodling. Oodle, 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 oodle. Chirping.
So that is, imagine you're sucking air continuously and having a menthol. That cold kind of feeling comes. Now again, as you see, the bottle, if you have a glass bottle, when you blow a bottle, it has a big hole and an entire chamber. Because of that, it goes very low. But most whistlers can go up to, average people, I would say up to 600 hertz and as high as 2 to 2.5 kilohertz. Now that is a major problem for sound engineers because of feedback. Based upon the acoustics of the environment, the feedback frequencies also happens in the same range. So on my EQ or on my graphic EQ, if I cut down 2.5, 2 kilohertz, it will reduce the feedback, but it will reduce the quality of the whistling also. And there are some harmonics in the 12 kilohertz, 10 kilohertz range also. Normally they are not that audible, but harmonics are present. I'll show you a spectrum analysis. You can see the harmonics are present. Next, please. This is called roof or palatal whistling. Now, this is our palate. Tongue is touched there. And the lips are used for modulation. Now, what Nikhil Rani does is teeth whistling. Now, the difference with teeth whistling is that the tongue, after touching, the sound comes through the teeth. There is no modulation. The tongue is doing the modulation. So, because of this teeth present, it gives a very husky kind of tone. But palatal whistling, because of the lip movement, it gives a very pleasant instrument kind of tone. Can I have the second video, please? We have another video for the same. He explains the technique.
lot of people talk about throat whistling and they talk about palatal whistling. Your teeth are here, and then there's this ridge that's behind your front teeth, right? This sort of fleshy thing there. So you take your tongue and you put it up against that, and you make a tiny hole there. I have no idea, honestly, how I learned palatal whistling. I've spoken with dentists, and they tell me that the space above where my palate is, behind my alveolar ridge, is particularly high.
Now, in this style, because the lip movement has a lot of movement, a lot of modulation can be achieved. Normally, we call it warbling. There's a term called warbling where the dual notes, you can have a modulation between two notes. I'll play you the sound. Now, because of this style of whistling, where you have a complete opening and closing of the lips, more can be achieved. But for pucker whistlers like us, when the lips cannot move, the internal tongue has to move. Now, in my case, my tongue is very thick, so it cannot vibrate and modulate that much. But I've found out of 100 people, 1% can wobble. It is not a very common thing. But among palatal whistlers, it's a common thing. Now, finger whistling, we all know. You put your fingers in your lips. Yes. Can you do that? But the finger whistling I'm talking about here is musical. This is not the whistling which we use to call a taxi. That kind of whistling is acceptable in my record of loudest whistling, but this kind of whistling is for musical purpose. Can you have the first video, please? He's using the finger as the lever in the guitar. So micro muscle movements actually move from the fingers to the tongue and cause those vibrations like you have in an electric guitar. This is one Chinese style. This is a Chinese person I met in 2010 in China. Now he is using a finger whistling style, but his is a different style and very, very, very calming and soothing kind of sound. On the stage, they had a Neumann U87, which was about 3 feet away from the person. You cannot see, in my performance, the stage is there on the mic stage. And this guy is not wearing a mic. He's not even wearing a lapel mic. But even 3 feet apart, the sound and the cupping actually enhancing the sound. And because it's U87, so it's going to be very sensitive. It's going to pick up that. Next slide, please. Fingerless whistling, when the video of the Turkish village came, where they're speaking, you have noticed that using this kind of style. All those who have traveled to Goa must have noticed that the bus conductors use the fingerless kind of whistling. And that's how they signal to the driver to start or stop.
Hi. Okay, so we're going to try to do the fingerless whistle now. Again, people aren't quite getting it. Maybe because they can't see what exactly is going on inside my mouth. So, I just want to get a really close-up look, and hopefully you'll see what's going on. So first we curl our bottom lip over our teeth to create what would be like a bevel in a proper whistle, like that. And then the tongue comes up to the teeth, like that. And now I can pull my bottom lip a little bit lower, and that still will allow me to whistle, although it usually requires a much louder whistle. And but hopefully you can see my tongue better.
Now this style and the finger style are the only ones which can reach a very loud and long distance.
This one can, Amitabh Bachchan can play this, and he has played it in Amar Akbar Anthem.
This, musically?
Something like that, just a shout.
Just a shout, okay. Musically this style is very difficult. Because
it's only for show.
Teeth, the aperture is between the teeth and the tongue. So it's very difficult to produce music from this one. But this can carry the sound very far off.
Yes. But it's very short, no? It's very for a short time.
And it's very like that's it. One shot continuous, he's struggling to do continuously. But one shot, it's good. But when you say the people in Turkey, the Turkish village, who have been doing whistling for such a long time, that they can able to produce entire sentences and words it is. So by practice, it can be done. Bottom lip whistling. This guy is Roger Whittaker, a very famous Zimbabwe-born British guy, very famous singer and whistler.
I'll show you how to do this. Do you want to try? Sure. Yes. All right, well, you take these two fingers. You're right. Take these, not just this. No, let everybody try this. The Canadians are noted for their courage. Do me a favor. Take hold of your bottom lip like this. Don't squeeze it hard. It hurts. Put a sort of kink in it and shove it up against your top teeth. And then suck it. Oh, if you've got false teeth, don't do this, for God's sake. No. You think I'm joking? We had one old fellow one night. We thought he'd swallowed his, actually. Found them in his sweater. All right. Take hold of your bottom lip like this and shove it up against your top teeth. And then suck in. Like that. That's wonderful. Well, we have a lot of suckers out there tonight. Now, what we'll do, hang on a minute. Wait a second. Okay. Once more. All right, now we come to this bit now. Are you ready? Come on.
very famous guy, performer. Next is hand whistling, something like your conch shell. Yes. And you can do that musically.
Musically, I can have 2-3 notes.
In this style, the hand becomes a resonating chamber, and the position of the thumbs actually kinds of increases and decreases the pitch also. Can you have the video, please? Seen a shell, we use it in our puja, white color shell. Now if that covering was flexible and if we could modulate the movement, it would actually be like a hand. Now the style that he was using where he's grasping it tight, there is no room for modulation. If you look at his hands were actually modulating the sound. If you hold it tight, you can only produce one note. Next one.
Do you have any video of classical music on whistle? Classical music being played on whistle?
Yes, I do. Yes. We have in India, we have hardly, I would say, 4-5 people who do classical music in whistle.
1%.
4-5 people, I can tell you the names also. And out of them, most are Carnatic classical whistlers. Hindustani, I have not seen people attempting Hindustani. I mean, I plan to once next year I plan to start learning Hindustani, but I have no 2 people. One person is Mr. K. Shiv Prasad. He is from Hyderabad. He is a presidential award winner, and he whistles only Carnatic classical. He does a 2-hour program with mridangam and violin and instruments, no water. I have seen his 2-hour program, and another person is the female who won, Shweta. She does classical whistling. Another girl I know, she's also from Chennai. Her name is Nivedita Shamsundar. So her father is a mridangam player, mother is a classical singer, and she also does classical whistling. We have one more guy, he's Charun Nath. He was a member of ours. Now he's working and studying in the US, Texas. So all these people have had classical music in their family, and they have.
Who's the male singer from Hyderabad? What's his name?
K. Shiv Prasad.
K. Shiv Prasad.
Yeah, he does classical and mostly Carnatic. I have heard him doing Bollywood songs also, but very few in between.
आपका तो पता ही नहीं चला आप सीटी बजा रहे थे या सिर्फ एक्टिंग कर रहे थे. बजाओ वापस. स्माइलिंग सीटी पहली बार देखी है मैंने. दिनेश जी आप ये गले और होठ से ही निकाल रहे हैं ना आवाज.
मगर मुझे ऐसा लगा कि विसल कोई और कर रहा, मजे आप ले रहे हो.
Let's do some myth busting. So whistling is a serious art form. It takes about 7 times more energy and breath than singing. I have doctors certify this that singing is still easy. Those who are a good singer need not be a good whistler. They can have musically trained ears, but they cannot produce it. And I experienced this in Patna. In Patna, last year when we were doing workshops, the 2 teachers were music teachers. They could sing. They could produce a sound, but they could not reach that note and modulation through whistling. So singers need not be whistlers. good whistlers need not be singers. In the end, the sense is very, very important. Usually we all say whistling all is well. We do not whistle when we are sad. I have noticed, I have experimented, when you are sad, you can whistle sad songs, but you cannot whistle when you are sad. You just don't feel like it. So normally when you whistle, we are kind of relaxed, chilled, happy. That is what whistling normally tells you. Also, it has been proven by certain psychologists that whistling helps you, takes your worries away, makes you more relaxed. So our slogan is also whistle your worries away. Anybody can whistle. It will take time. If you cannot produce a sound at all, it will take you at least 6 months of continuous trying to produce a sound. Then saregama, then modulation, easily 1 or 2 years. But all that we have done when we have grown up. We have seen our fathers do that. What I do in my association is those who can produce a sound, taking them through all of this to the international platform is what I teach. Also, whistling while working helps reduce tension and pressure. And it's one instrument which you can carry anytime, anywhere. Doesn't require any tuning, doesn't require any physical thing, but it requires know-how of what factors affect, so that, what I tell people is, I'm not going to give you a platform. I'm going to teach you how to whistle well, correctly, so that wherever you go, you can whistle properly. And in India, we have billions of people. Out of them, you can say almost 1/4 of them can whistle, but only and done. So then what? Aage kya hai? So my fight since last 13, 14 years is to bring that kind of talent out and give them a platform कि इसके आगे भी life है. Now when my students are learning to whistle with karaoke, I am experimenting with heavy metal whistling. So there's always a next step. Now what I want to experiment is with Hindustani classical, because I've not found people doing Hindustani classical so far. Next, please. So breath control is very important. Sometimes I keep a small pocket of air in my upper lips, behind the upper lips. And when I want to reach a very high note, I whistle and I forcefully blow it out to be able to reach high notes. As I said, catching cold is a problem because the affects the voice box, it affects the breathing, causes irritation. Sometimes I feel closing the eyes is more suited because it shuts off one stimuli, then you can concentrate more on the hearing part. So sometimes I prefer to close my eyes while whistling. Riyaz, like singing, is required in whistling. And there's a method also. You can start with a keyboard or a piano, start with sa, re, ga, pa, dha, ni, sa. Most people have a range of 2 octaves. I have a range of around 1.5, 2 octaves. Some people, by more practice, swimming exercises, you can go more lower and more high. So you can increase it to 3. I have not found people in India so far having a range of more than 2.5 octaves. Do you have an octave range? In Hindi music, we have antara, mukhra and antaras. Now, what normally we have is, especially in the old films, after the mukhra, the antaras have the same music. They are kind of repetitions. Only the words change. Now, at the international platform, if you have a song where the antaras are repeating, they'll definitely cut marks. So what we do is, I tell my people, if you're whistling 2 antaras, whistle the words along with them, so that the words can bring out difference. For example, in this song, Pukarta Chala Hu Main, I'm whistling the words also. Plus, I'm bringing out dynamics. I'm going soft and loud, and like we all like dynamics. So that is what brings out the beauty, because we are whistling covers. Whistling, especially tunes in the ads and all, maybe original. But they are hardly 5 to 10 seconds. Mostly what we are whistling are cover songs already been done. So when I whistle a song like Pukarta Chala Hu Main, in your mind, the song starts. You know exactly, and you are following it. So if I bring out the difference through dynamics and through the words, only then you can enjoy it. If I whistle the tune throughout, both the antaras are same. And internationally, they cut marks. They cut marks on the international platform for closing eyes. They cut marks for whistling repeat stanzas. They cut marks for being very still on the stage. They have a lot of category and they cut marks for everything. Yes, yes. So my idea is that next year, 2018, I have a plan of holding our third national convention, where I plan to have all kinds of categories and music categories and judges. In the international stage, they don't have room for any other kind of music. In the popular category, you can whistle Hindi songs, we can whistle Chinese songs, Japanese songs. But in the Western category, they insist only on Western music. That too, dead musicians. They were very specific. Beethoven, Mozart, Bach, Strauss, those. Any composer like John Williams or newest composers who are doing classical music or orchestral music, that is not considered classical for them. They have very strict rules. So Mr. Alan D. Hart, who started International Whistling Convention, they started with those rules. Japanese also follow the same thing. Now there's another competition called Masters of Whistling, World Whistling. So they have little relaxed rules. They don't insist on them. When I bring it to India, my thing is going to be, we can have Hindustani classical, Carnatic classical also. Because they don't know any other kind of music. When we had gone to China, they told us, are your songs fully classical or classical based? Now, we all know that Hindustani classical ragas can go from 7 to 10 to 15 minutes. They have a limitation of 4 minutes, max to max. A raga cannot fit in a 4 minutes. A bandish or some part has to be done. Most of a song like Madhuban Radhika Nache is a classical based song. It's a filmy song. They had a problem with that. So even though myself and my colleague, I took English songs, my colleague took Hindi songs, we could go up to the finals. But in the finals, because we're not doing English songs or the Western classical, they have to cut our marks.
But do they mean by classical music composed in the classical era only, or can you have rock era, or is
they have not defined that like that. They have not defined, but what they say is they mean dead music composers so far. So if you have what I've found is people doing Beethoven, Mozart, Bach, Strauss, and a couple of more people. 7-8 composers only. So every year songs are repeated.
You try Hallelujah choir.
That will come into popular category.
Okay. Why is it old composition?
Yeah, but it is not classical, it's a popular song.
Hallelujah, the hymns.
Popular. Yes, they are very strict about that. So what I'm trying to do is next year when I bring it to India, I want to change the categories and do something which suits us. Because we have a huge history and culture. But going there and whistling their songs and what are we bringing our culture, how are we bringing our culture out? So another thing what they have a problem is that if the backing track has the lead instrument playing along with you, they'll cut marks. So if you're listening to any Beethoven's tune, they're all made on piano. So there's a piano melody going on. If you whistle along with that, they'll cut your marks. So I have to get in musicians, I have to re-record the backing track, and I have to do that. Now for my Sare Jahan Se Acha, the world record, we are doing 2 songs, Sare Jahan Se Acha and Hum Honge Kamyab. Amrut here has created the backing track for Sare Jahan Se Acha because the one I had a lot of chorus in between. These guys, we have been practicing at my house, we have created Hum Honge Kamyab, a different version because the internet had all kiddish nursery rhymes versions. So we created kind of a semi-rock version. So the thing is that they have the efforts, they have the resources. I have found people, most of the whistlers outside India are musicians themselves. In India, very few. And no one has the time to learn.
You teach AES guys how to whistle.
I can, definitely. But as I said, if you cannot whistle at all, it will take you at least 6 months to produce a sound. If you can produce a sound or even basic few notes, I can take you ahead. Next one, please. Moist and clean mouth, as I said in the beginning. Drier the mouth, huskier the tone. Wetter the mouth, cleaner the tone. And correct mic position is very important. When I started, I said 13 years ago when I started, I was holding the mic, headphone mic here. until recently I was holding the mic here. Then last year, Uday sir said, "No, this is against the mic pattern." So then I started experimenting holding the mic this way, like an ice cream. So this is still in, you can say, in axis, on axis. At the same time, this one doesn't work much. Little bit upper registers, upper frequencies are gone, but air. So kind of, this is the ice cream position I call it. Or I call the other position is sugar cane. Why this one? Because this is, you can see the Whistler's face. Now the Hotel California video, you couldn't see the Whistler's face at all. So this is either this, you can see the face, or this, you can see the face. If a person cannot see the performer, they're not interested in the performance. So you need to be, and the other part is you should be able to connect with the audience. In the international platform, they cut marks if you are standing still. So you have to connect with the audience, you have to make movements, you have to be enjoying the performance. So finally, I would say man is the instrument and he only has to carry himself. You can join us, there's a website, and you can see more of our videos on YouTube. Thank you. Now, I'll go through the technical parts of it. So here I have basically a waveform view, and at the bottom we have a spectrum analysis. Now this is showing me two views. One is, this is the normal view. Spectrum view with musical notes. It will show me these notes in the bottom. And it shows the frequency here. So, as you can see, I'll play you sound. You can make note of it. This is a 1 kilohertz test tone. This is a test tone. Now, I've tried now I'll just play you a tone of a whistler. You tell me if it's a male or a female. What do you think?
Yes, female.
It's a female. So there's no difference. Now, if you see, the person has whistled 1 kilohertz, the person thought it's 1 kilohertz. If you look at the spectrum analysis, the 1 kilohertz tone is in the bottom and she is actually whistling 2 kilohertz.
Yeah, I thought that's right.
It is. She thought at the time of whistling that it is 1 kilohertz, but when I analyzed it, it's 2. Now we have, this is a 440 hertz tone. And this is a 440 hertz whistler. It is 440 hertz, but very difficult to produce. Very low for a person to produce sound. Now this one is actually 440 hertz, and you can see it in this spectrum graph also. It says A4, but there's lots of variation. Can you see up and down? It is very difficult for a human to sustain that kind of a note for a long period. Now, can you tell me if this was a male or a female? I'll play it again for you. Male. So it is, by hearing you cannot say what the person is, it is the same thing. Now I'll play you different styles. I'll show you the different analysis. This is called multiphonics. At the same time, you have two notes going on. Okay? Can you see there are two notes? There's one note here and one note in the bottom. I'll play them. Again, a very rare technique.
But it's a single person or not?
Single person. Single person, same time.
Really?
So.
But that low note and high note, there is a difference of octave or just one note?
Couple of notes. Couple of notes. Couple of tones, I would say. One octave is not possible.
Not possible.
So, if I
like
play.
A chord formation.
Correct. Right. So here, if you hear it. So these two notes are in the beginning, there's a A sharp and a B6. So it's like a tone or a semitone apart. If you look at the frequencies, and if you look at the harmonics, you can see this is the main portion, yeah? And you have harmonics on top of it. So if you have the main note at 2 kilohertz, you have a harmonic at 4, 3, and you have harmonics, a little huskiness you found the tone, you have harmonics at around 12 kilohertz also. So that gives the kind of huskiness to the sound. So I have different styles. I have a Japanese friend who has sent me these tracks. So he has sent me all the styles. This is
sample 71047 Hertz. Normal whistling. Octave higher. Duotone. C and E. A and C in the higher range.
This is, the tongue is actually creating two different chambers inside the mouth. And plus, he knows the technique. The technique can be learnt. The problem is that you cannot see inside the person's mouth. If you could see inside the mouth, because in the instrument, you know where the fingers are, what note he's playing, how is he holding the instrument, how is he tapping the instrument. But inside the mouth, it is very difficult to see. So how exactly, and the tongue is making very micro adjustments. The tongue, as you see, even if you hold out your tongue in the mirror, you'll find it is making very, very micro adjustments. So because of micro adjustments, you can hold on to these notes.
So he is producing polyphony.
Yeah, inside the mouth,
Inside
at the same time. He knows what notes he wants to bring out, and he exactly doing the same. If you can see the harmonics here, now, because the recording is a bit noisy, you will find there's certain hissing part going at around 12 kilohertz. But apart from that, you'll also find that there are harmonics here. Look at this. This is, yeah. So the bright yellow portion is what the note he's whistling, and the pinkish portion is what the harmonic is. And little above, you can find there's harmonics here, there's harmonics here, and there's harmonics here also. But I'll show you one diagram which compares whistling to other wind instruments. There are lesser harmonics here in whistling compared to wind instruments.
Obviously.
This is a pure tone. Okay. You can see the whistling has harmonics at 500, 1, 1.5, not more than 3 or 4 harmonics. A recorder, alto recorder, has all these harmonics. A trombone, a tenor trombone, has these many. And these are mostly, you can say, 3, 3.5, 4, almost like even and odd together. A pitch pipe, a reed pitch pipe, has so many. So, to differentiate your whistling from an instrument is because of the very low harmonics content. Now, yes, and the chamber of the mouth is very fixed, and so that is the only thing.
Very constraint on the production of harmonics.
Correct. Now, if you look at the oscillating wavegram, the pure tone and whistling are almost the same. Almost a sine wave. If you look at an alto recorder, you can see there's a tapering at the bottom and there's a roundness at the top. The trombone has a completely different waveform, complex waveform. The pitch pipe has a more complex waveform. So apart from here, you cannot make out the harmonics, but you can see it's almost a sine wave.
I think that whistling has got less number of harmonics in any case, and I think their amplitude is also very less. That's why it almost resembles the
waveform.
Yeah.
Amplitude, because the style he's using is again pucker style. So this is one of the very basic styles of whistling. Had he gone towards teeth whistling or what you can say finger whistling, the amplitude would have been louder, the harmonics would have been more prominent in this scale. You can see this is a complete smooth and this is little jagged, which is basically the harmonics part. Now I'll play it from the beginning.
Sample tone 1047 Hz. Normal whistling. Octave higher. Duotone. C and E. A and C in the higher range. Hand whistling. Teeth whistling.
The more the air, lesser the sound, you can see more huskiness and more harmonics in the huskiness range. You can see around 12, this entire frequency. If I delete this harmonics here, you can have a look at the tone. So the entire sound is actually concentrated in the harmonics portion. Now you can see in the lower octave when he's doing it, you have one more prominent harmonic here. And the sound is less husky now.
Teeth whistling.
And that's all. So I hope we had a very fruitful engagement.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Highly informative topic.
Yes, and I have one video for you, classical whistling as you said. Now this particular person, he whistles directly into the mic. But I don't know how he whistles, but there's no airiness.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, if you see his live performance on YouTube, I'll show you some videos next time. He's whistling directly into the mic. And it is about 6 inches away. Normal dynamic mic. So that's it.
Yes.
On behalf of Audio Engineering Society, India, I thank Rigveda Deshpandey. It was a very wonderful evening, and we have learned from the point of view of audio engineering that whistling can make a difference, and it is a musical instrument. So I say keep whistling and keep learning instrumental music. Okay, thank you very much.